guys, today we're going to be creating this drawing using Crayola colored pencils. I have a variety of colors, but they're pretty limited. And then we're using one Prismacolor, just the white one will be Prismacolor and everything else is Crayola. And you should have already transferred your outline drawing onto your paper lightly with pencil. And you can do that using a light box or a window, whichever one you have available to you. Make sure you trace over all of those details. I know it's a detailed outline, but it is necessary to get a good drawing. After you've transferred it to your drawing paper, take an eraser and lighten up all of your pencil lines before you start with the colored pencil so that you don't get a muddy look when you're coloring over that with the colored pencils. So in this video, I'm going to slowly talk you through how to do each of the 3 macaroons. We'll start with the yellow, then do the pink, and lastly the green, and finish with the shadows that are on the table. You just use the colored pencils that you have, plus the white Prismacolor that I'm going to provide for you. And make sure you pause this video and work along with it. The rest of the video will be a time lapse of me drawing, and I'm going to do voiceover letting you know what colors I'm using and how I'm blending. So we will use the same blending techniques that we practice in class, and then we will be burnishing with the white Prismacolor at the end as needed. And the very last thing that you'll see me do is I will take a little bit of acrylic paint, white acrylic paint, and a small paintbrush to add the super small highlights. I just use this white acrylic paint. An alternative to that would be a white gel pen like this. And we will add those at the very end for the super bright white highlights. There aren't many of those, but they are there. All right, thanks guys, stay tuned. So to begin on the yellow macaroon, I erase my pencil marks to start, and then I'm going in with light yellow and establishing a base color. Then I'll go in with a darker yellow to establish a little bit of the shadows, and you'll see me pick up a brown here to add even darker shadows. And I'm just layering my colors, and lastly I'll go in with the white for the burnishing. All of my shadows in the yellow macaroon are done predominantly using brown, and you'll see me pick up orange for a couple of places as well. So I'm just going in and coloring in those little cracks and crevices that are in the macaroon, and then I will build the yellow up on top of that. And I'm just working back and forth between my different colors of yellow, brown, and occasionally I'll add in some orange and black in the super dark areas. So I've worked a little bit forward now, and I'm going down to the very bottom of the macaroon, which is pretty light on the left side. So I'm burnishing with the white and then building up a little bit of orange in the shadow areas. Now I'm moving on to the pink macaroon, and I'm starting by erasing my pencil marks, then going in with a light pink everywhere that I see it in the reference photo, making sure to look back and forth between my reference photo as much as possible. Now I'm layering in a little bit of red in the darker areas. And blending that out with pink. And now I'm going in with a red-orange for the brightest areas. And for my shadows in this, I'm layering a little bit of, very little bit of black with some purple on top. And now I'm burnishing with my white colored pencil. Now I'm going into the shadow parts of the middle part of the pink macaroon, and I'm using red with purple layered on top for those shadows, and I may use a little bit of black where it's the darkest. So I'm not blending everything out in this, especially in the textured parts of the macaroon. You want to leave that texture showing. So to create that texture, I'm just using little squiggle marks to get that sort of bumpy look. And I'm just deepening my shadows here as I go, building in all those dark reds, and then I'll go over top of that with a light pink. And now I'm going in and burnishing with the white where I need to. Now working on the bottom part of the pink macaroon, same process that I used above. I'm just making sure to really reference my photo as often as I can. You should either have it printed out or on your computer or both. And now I'm moving on to the green macaroon. I'm going in with a light green and a yellow green, and then burnishing really heavily with the white because this macaroon is pretty light overall. For the shadows in this one, I just used a regular green with a little bit of black mixed in where I needed to on the darkest areas. But this is the lightest macaroon in the whole picture, so I will use the least amount of dark colors in this one. Now I'm working on the drop shadow, and I'm adding a little bit of brown back into the green macaroon in the shadow portions. And then I will go in and add a little bit of brown into the shadow just to warm it up so it's not so flat. I used a black for the first layer and I'm using brown on top. So I'm just deepening the shadows in the green as needed. Going back and doing a second layer over those shadows just to make sure it's really blended. And then now I'm going in with white acrylic paint on a paintbrush and putting in the smallest highlights. And that's it.